Which banner? Oh, not Lewis driving from behind the mic. So yeah, today's topic is drag growth with drag queens like Linda Summers and Bonnie Violet. All right, so Angel, we have 3 questions that we ask all of our guests. You have 3 minutes to answer 3 questions, and if you go over, I'm going to stop you. So the first question is, where are you from?
You have consent to touch me if I go over.
Okay.
All right. Well, I am from, I'm originally from Los Angeles, but I moved up to San Rafael during my middle school years. And I moved to San Francisco in 2017.
Okay.
Okay.
So, okay, go ahead.
And then my question for you is, what made you get into recovery? What made you get sober?
Well, I really was a mess. I did drugs since the age of 13. And by 22, I realized like I was losing teeth from left to right, and I realized that I really needed to get my shit together. And so I finally decided to get into rehab, and that's when I was introduced to the 12-step program.
Is that really it? And then was that like your first go round, or were there many first starts?
Good question. Relapse is part of my story.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah, it took, I got sober for 4 months and then relapsed for 3 months. And in those 3 months, I realized nothing changes. I just went back to the same, insanity. And
yeah. That's relatable.
2019. Mm-hmm.
For sure. And then the last question is, what is your relationship to God or your higher power?
Yeah, my relationship with my higher power today is super fun, super loving, and sometimes dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you explain what you mean?
Dark. Yeah, you can't say sometimes dark and just get.
She was baiting us. She's like, they're gonna ask me. Go ahead.
I mean, I feel like sometimes I really like to tap into into that darkness of like that comes with sadness, anger, frustration, and I feel like by tapping into that, I'm able to tap into something bigger. I welcome more love into my mind, spirit, and body, and I have to acknowledge that my higher power is not always good. It can also, bring, it can also mean some darkness.
Yeah. So let's just jump right in. So my first question to you is, like I was mentioning earlier, like we've all seen you grow from being this kind of like shy person who is developing a character to this person who has like a clear style and has a very strong presence within the
clear,
a clear style.
I get clear.
No, it's
confusing is the brand. Confusing is the brand.
It's called conception.
Your cutlets don't fall out anymore, right?
I know, that's amazing. It's like, oh, she's because she doesn't wear boobs. She's just like,
I wear mosquito bites now.
Mosquito bites. So how did we get here? How did Linda Summers become Linda Summers?
It all started in 2019. No, I'm kidding. No, it really did start in 2019, I think. I was newly sober. Bonnie Violet was doing this event at Glide for drag and spirituality, and I was asked to be the person who sort of welcomed folks as they came in. I was completely nervous about it because I was just like, what the hell? Why me? So I got Thank you. I mean, for me at that time, all I knew was eye makeup, right? Like eye makeup was my introduction to beauty and queerness and all of that stuff, right? And I I was getting sober and I was attending Bonnie Violet's watch parties here at the Castro Country Club for RuPaul's Drag Race.
I remember, yeah.
And Ashley Madison, one of the contestants that year, was campaigning, and I remember winning a prize, and I got this like beautiful makeup kit with brushes and a couple of blushes and eyeshadows, and she was just like, "I'm so glad that you got this because I've seen some of your work, and I feel like hopefully if I win one day, you can come to my show." I was just like, sure, like whatever, like I don't know what she's talking about really. And I went to the pageant that year and it was so amazing, so much like
Ashley Madison for mascara. Oh, I was one of her handlers there.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yes, it wasn't it. Yeah, with the whole like Little Mermaid, and then there was like someone doing like
they were coming off of a really amazing year.
Yeah. I will give you. Yes, I would like to highlight many happy returns because my first sober drag show was I think on Halloween. So it was the year you were reigning, and I remember.
I'm sorry.
I remember going there and not being entertained at all, and just thinking like, who is this, Queen? Why does she think she has the guts to go up there?
Who gave her a mic?
Who gave her a mic? And she was so mean.
I give you the courage that's like, if she can do it, I can do.
At that time, I didn't know what shady was or like what.
Right.
I thought she was being mean to people, and I was just like, but then I got to see the performers, and then I got to see like the joy that they carried, and I was just like, there's something in here. I don't know what it is, but there's something in this group. And again, taking it back to Ashley Madison, after she won, like I felt compelled to be in her first show, and that's when I got my start. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was there I have a follow-up question if LouiLou or B0NNi33.
No. It's like,
No. So so what I think is really awesome here is that there was a curiosity, or you like had a feeling and a curiosity. What made you trust that curiosity, right? A lot of people don't trust their like inclinations, but you did. What was that about?
Ooh, good question. I mean, I didn't feel like I had to get naked and have sex with all of you to do it. Because I mean it in a way where like, during my using days, I would like, meet with certain people who were into, dressing men, or like, doing that whole like
putting you in a
role
wig, playing or whatever.
Yeah, put her in a wig and like saying like, do this for me and whatever. And you did it because, during that time I was in survival mode, right? Yeah. And so for me, that was just like an icky situation. I just didn't feel like me, right? Like I was just like, this is not what I want to do with my life or how I want to, whatever. I mean, for me specifically. And so when I found this community, it wasn't like, I didn't feel like I was doing it because I had to survive in some ways, or like I had to get something out of it. Or like I was doing it for...
It became yours.
Yeah, like it became, something that actually meant something more than just, giving this person pleasure and getting a free fix for that day.
A free fix, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. It's interesting. It's like, I feel, just hearing you, it's like, we watched you hatch from an egg and just become this like dynamic, like queen that you are. I love that.
Do any of you have like first memories of Linda Summers?
Well, we were laughing about the cutlets coming out.
Yeah, I know. The big thing was the cutlets coming out of the shirt or of the whatever you were wearing. The boobs pop. Did you pop out of the bottom?
Yeah,
bottom side. It's like
it was during my Halloween number. I was doing this
as the nun.
Yes, the nun.
Oh,
yes,
I love that one. Yeah.
That's when that happened. Chicken cutlet. Yes,
yeah.
Brandon. yes.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say your drags evolved a lot too, from like how you were even your makeup or how you were like. I think what you presented, I guess, has really changed a lot as well.
Well, for me, I think in the beginning, it was important for me to do characters. So I had to do the nun. I had to do a cat. I had to do, because again, I was really afraid to touch or to get reacquainted or to get acquainted with my femininity. Like I thought that Linda Summers had to be a clown, some sort of freak. She couldn't be this beauty queen or this, because again, I wasn't sober enough and I hadn't worked the steps yet. I hadn't had enough therapy to sort of like work through that. And for me to really get comfortable with my own body and my own identity, and knowing that like I am a queer gay male who just loves to do drag and loves to express the whole their femininity through it. Yeah, I think that's how I have grown so much.
I have in the beginning, I mean, I have kind of become like this HR trainer for drag queens hosting shows. And so,
oh my gosh, yes.
Linda and I, we had the great fortune of hosting Fall Follies when we got back after the first live Fall Follies after the shelter in place. And what I noticed about Linda is that she was so kind of shy and into herself and not, it was just really, it didn't seem like it would be really easy to get you to come out of your shell, which like, whoa, that is, it happened instantly. And all of a sudden it's like, I know you were talking about, you didn't know what shady was, but I think it's in your DNA.
Yeah. Could you say more about that? Because you've gone from being this like nervous, I remember the first time I saw you hosting and you were next to Minnie Happy Returns, which is, you know, Minnie's personality is very big. It takes up all the air in the room. It says
And that's because she's tall, everyone.
and that's just her standing there.
Wow.
But jokes aside, you know, Minnie's a seasoned.
We're looking for sound bites today.
but my wigs take a lot of
but Minnie, but jokes aside, Minnie is a seasoned host, right?
Yes.
Minnie does hosting for fundraisers. She's very good at it. People look for her, right? And so standing next to a very seasoned MC, that must have been hard for you. So I'm wondering, how did you go from being this person who was like shy to being this person who has hosted her own ongoing year-long event, for example?
Well, from what I remember that night was that I was just like, I just look like you know, like a statue, just standing next to her, like not doing shit.
Yeah, she was pretty.
She was, yeah,
she was pretty.
But what I think like got me out of that was that I allowed someone to give me a suggestion, or that night she was just like, hey, you should make this joke. If you look behind you, all the decorations are falling down or falling apart. So it's really staying true to the name of this show, the Fall Follies. So make that joke. And I said, okay. And I made that one joke and people laughed. And I was just like, thank God, you know, and I got a you know, a taste of what that looks like when you just sort of, you know, read the room and say, okay, what can I make fun of? What can I, you know, like how does this tie into the theme? Or, you know, like what are people saying in front of me, right? Like pick up on that, you know what I mean? And I think that's what that's what I saw Louis doing a lot. You know,
it's about taking risks, you know, because I think that like folks are going to receive it or they're not going to receive it, but it's like you can recover after, but sometimes you just have to do it.
Yeah, you just have to trust yourself. So I think that's what happened.
Do you feel like it seemed like you got a lot of confidence and became more comfortable, obviously, the more times you did it, you know, like it's a practice, you know, and you just like got to keep doing it and you get a little bit better each time and you learn something and you take it with you to the next time, or you don't if it's not good. You know, yeah, that's all I was going to say.
Yeah, I love that. Go ahead.
And I watch a lot of reviews, like, you know, on YouTube, a lot of reviews. And I like, you know,
reviews of
drag queens making, you know, doing review videos of like, you know,
other queens,
you know, of other queens, episodes of drag, you know, RuPaul's Drag Race. So I feel like I kind of picked up on some of like,
that's very smart.
Because there's a skill,
not, you know,
obviously I can tell, because one of the things that I can really appreciate about like, and maybe it's because you're so tiny and sweet or whatever, like Linda would say something that like that the normal person would say and probably get their ass beat.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's so funny and so cute. And then also the accent. So it's like, come on, it's like you can get away with a lot.
Yeah. You know, that's interesting because one of the way I would categorize your drag, and you and I are currently working on a number together. And one of the things that I love about your style is that I would describe it as like odd, weird, playful, and beautiful. Does that feel about right?
Yeah. I mean, I think at some point in like during the pandemic, what I learned during that time, you know, was that that it doesn't have to be one or the other. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It doesn't have to be beauty and clownish. It can be everything all at once. So I feel like I tried to remember how I wanted to start my drag, you know, journey, and where it sort of took me, and sort of just picking up what worked for me and putting it together. So yes, I will say.
Don't you feel like your world your world around the drag kind of opened up when you made that decision? Because like I think the thing that I struggled with the most, like, and I think a lot of people when they want to perform, I want to be a showgirl, I want to be beautiful or whatever, and you get so caught up in that you forget to just relax and have fun. And as once I decided, okay, Minnie's a clown, because I went out there and people laughed everything I did. It's like, okay, I'm a clown. Embrace that. And in turn, like embracing that, it really has done a number on helping Louis to become the person that Louis is becoming, you know?
Yeah.
I love that. Go ahead.
I mean, it just takes me back to that philosophy of not taking yourself too seriously, you know? The Sisters of the Perpetual Indulgence, that's all they preach, you know, not taking yourself too seriously and just having fun. Are you having fun? Yeah.
This is a question for all of you. I'm wondering, like, because you've all have mentioned the self at some point. Like, I'm wondering how like especially with recovery, how does drag feed yourself out of drag, right? Like, what is it that drag does to, I mean, for fear of using this word, but like, for lack of a better word, maybe is like, what does drag do for your soul? Like, what does it do for the person who still has to do a 9 to 5?
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that comes to mind is that, I think that like sometimes when I get into drag, I'm not feeling it, like I'm having a hard time in life. I might be really depressed and like, I'm struggling, but then I get into drag and, I put it on and, I put my drag on in a way that draws attention. I'm a look queen. And so like I just see people light up and they don't see what's going on underneath. They just see everything going on. And then that like creates some sort of like higher frequency in them. And then once they like reflect that back to me, then I'm able to pick it up as well. And so for me, it really is an opportunity for me to charge my batteries and really connect spiritually. I mean, for me, I know it's not for everybody, but drag is a very spiritual experience for me. It's also like a ministry for me as well. Not in the sense of like trying to save people or whatever, but just in the sense it's what I'm putting out in the world in the hopes of having a positive impact on the lives of people that I come in contact with.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
How about you two? Yeah, y'all looking at each other like, well, you want to take this?
I just do it.
Well, no, I agree with you. I think that the drag is spiritual, but I think that like, okay, so there's this. I think it has to do with like walking towards fear with courage. Like, what's interesting, and I'm starting to understand that I'm probably more of an ambivert than anything, and that at times I'm completely on. And
can you tell us what that means?
Well, okay, so
you call yourself?
I'm not.
You're a pervert?
At times I'm extrovert, and at times I'm introvert.
Okay.
Like there are times when I'm out and about and folks will see me and they're like, oh yeah, because I always talk about like I always do the things that push me like right into the center, kind of like this and the dragon, what have you. But I really value my downtime. I like my alone time. I like what? Oh my God.
Hey, tearing your anus. Hey.
Hi, Jamie.
So basically, like, I think that like we were talking about, like practicing, working certain muscles or whatever. When I'm out of drag, you guys know, it's like sometimes I don't like people, but I still, get it. Minnie's teaching me how to be cordial, how to not, how to be grateful too. How to be grateful, because the alternative always is, if no one is doing it, or if either people are reaching out, loving, supporting you, telling you how amazing you are as Minnie, or they're not. And I don't want that. For me, I just want just enough, like season. But sometimes you've got to take what it is. So I think that Minnie is always encouraging, and I'm gonna say encouraging Louis to be a better version of himself. Yeah.
How about you, Angel?
I have forgotten the question. I inhaled too much setting powder.
I have a question for Linda too.
Oh, okay, let's hear.
Linda does drag.
Linda,
I love everyone's coming for you.
I do clown fuckery.
right?
Question.
On the topic of growth, I know when you first started doing drag, and we both started kind of around the same time. I might have technically started a little sooner, but I think you were a little quicker than I to catch on. And you would sometimes, we had this thing where you would tell me what I needed to do, and I was able to put boundaries there. But I remember also though that you used to have to be perfect, or you have to have it like all put together, and I've sensed that that's went away a bit. How have you done that, if you have?
I mean, so for those who do not know, I'm sober, right? So I just work my steps around.
Wait, you're sober?
I am, unfortunately. No, I'm kidding. Fortunately, but I would say that. I mean, it all started off like, yes, perfection was so important to me, because coming from like a religious group where like they told you that you had to be as perfect as the Heavenly Father, right? I had that mindset, like I had to be perfect. And so what will happen is that after every performance, I will call my drag mom, Miss Shugana, and I will like literally call her for like an hour and just be like,
Miss Shug,
yeah, Shug dog. Okay, I will call her and like we will go over my number for an hour, just like kind of pinpointing everything that I did wrong. I should have smiled more. I shouldn't have blinked. Why am I even there? And by the end of each conversation, she'll be like, "Well, did you have fun?" And I would be like,
yeah.
"Wow," like, and that was like eye opening. Like, don't do it if you're not having fun.
There's a gift. The gift too. Like, did you get anything from like doing all that preparation and still finding that when you do it, it's not exactly what you had in mind? And like,
yeah. And sometimes some of my best performances are when I am sad or going through a hard time. Honestly, like, surprisingly, actually. But to answer your question, what was your question?
My question earlier. Yeah, my question earlier was what parts. Now I don't even remember. But was it the self part, Linda doing drag? What did Jaylon write? Was that another one?
Linda does drag.
Linda does drag. Well, I was talking about like how is yourself fed by drag?
Oh yeah.
Like the person who has to work the 9 to 5. How does your drag feed that person?
How does drag give you life?
Yeah.
Well, I work in the.
Thank you for the translation. That was the clear translation. Go ahead.
No, well, I work in a field where like I have to prioritize the needs of others and really meet them where they're at, and that could be emotionally draining at times.
Yeah.
I've talked to you about it before.
Of course, yeah.
And so I think anyone who's working a 9 to 5 or whatever job trade you're in, like you need some sort of creativity or some sort of like hobby,
Agreed,
to find balance and to find release. And so I think that by what drag does for me or how it feeds me, it sort of allows me to feel connected to others, because I think a lot of times when I'm going through stuff or like when I'm having a hard time, I feel like I'm all in it by myself, but then I'm reminded that I'm not. And drag sort of, I mean, at least my drag, which is deeply rooted in service, tells me that I don't have to go through it alone. I don't have to, feel it alone. I can reach out to a friend. Maybe I should set up a rehearsal, and I think it gets me into action. So I don't always have to, well, I guess it's okay to say still too. But anyway, that's what it does.
It's interesting because when I think about and then we have a comment. When I think about your drag too, I think about how there, like your level of polish seems like it's come from a lot of discipline, which I imagine has come from learning how to take feedback from people who were more seasoned than you. And so I wonder, like, I know just as an addict and alcoholic, it's sometimes I bristle when people give me feedback because I'm like, what do you know that I don't know? You know what I mean? So I'm wondering, and then we can take this comment. I'm wondering, like, how has recovery enabled you to actually hear feedback as constructive rather than something that's like hurting you?
Well, whenever I'm curious about something, or I need to sort of like, I need to find an answer to something that I'm like, trying to figure out. My sponsor always tells me to talk to 5 people, five other people in the program, people that I feel like I trust and who work a program that I want or feel like, super inspired by. And so
I love it. That's why you're always talking to me, huh?
Yeah. No,
that's because he ran out of people to talk to.
There was nobody answering the phone this time.
And so by doing that, I get all that feedback. I hear all the feedback. Oh, maybe consider doing this, or I've done it this way before. And so I think that's what has like made it easy for me to take feedback, from others when it comes to my drag.
Absolutely.
It's just working my program, utilizing the tools that I that are given to me from the program and putting it into practice in other areas of my life, whether that's drag, work, relationship, or
practicing the principles and all your affairs.
That's excellent. Let's see that comment. Jaylon writes, Anthony, answering the question about what drag does, I will say being in touch with the feminine that Sione is Sione, and the essence of all the women I've been influenced by has connected Jaylon to a confidence that I didn't think I possessed as a gay gender non-conforming person.
Oh,
I
cool.
love that.
Jaylon's like one of those queens from RuPaul's Drag Race that leaves early, and then he's post on Instagram like what I would have worn in this contest or with this. Yes, Jaylon,
Yeah.
let us have it.
One of the things I really appreciate about Sayoni is that because we got to work on something together and Tongo LELÉ, who we're going to have next week, was the level of professionalism that she brings to her drag. Yeah, she was like a quick study. Like she was not running around and making jokes, but she was focused. I'm saying that because Angel and Merrick, who we were all working together, and Angel and Merrick were always like running around doing something ridiculous. But it was wonderful. It's like great to have those people on set.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But did we do it? Go ahead.
The other thing that the three of us like that we all get, like drag, especially the type of drag you were talking about, like service and spiritual or whatever, it gives us on top of this community that we have another layer, a deeper layer of community. And that, to me, I think that fortifies Louis. That fortifies because it's like there are times when, you know, I need people and I need to be able to go deeper, you know, because I'm struggling, whatever, or I just need to know that I'm connected to something. And like you were saying, drag reminds me that I'm connected to something. Yeah.
I think it is helpful that a lot of the drag artists that I do that I'm really close with are also in recovery. So I think that's also really helpful because, and I would say, you know, like Linda and I are good friends and we both do drag and we both kind of have done drag together, but I see us as more of like spiritual sisters. Like we've had really deep spiritual conversations. Like Linda prayed over my hormones before I took them. Like we've had some really tender, special moments, kind of outside of drag. But it, you know, I wonder how much of drag has helped keep that relationship going and maybe added to the intimacy. I think it did add to the intimacy because part of that was also when, you know, when Linda had decided to not do drag because of her spirituality, we were able to have a conversation about that as well.
I was going to say, like, I think it's that relationship. I know for me, it's those relationships that have helped me to continue to do drag because we all have that moment where I'm like I'm constantly in that moment, like after I perform, I'm good. I'm not doing it again.
Sorry, Linda. I'm always spilling your tea.
No, it's okay. It's in my vote for me request letter.
It's in your
yeah, I wanted to comment on the relationship piece. So I've talked, I don't think I've ever talked about having danced professionally for years, and like that's what brought me out here. And one of the things that I really loved when I was growing up as like a young dancer was the community that I was forming. So I danced in these my two favorite experiences growing up were in these two dance troupes, and both of them we did backup for drag queens, right? So there was one drag queen and we worked at two different nightclubs, and the community that I formed around drag and dance and stuff like that, like those people, like I love them to this day. Some of us have passed, but I bring that up to say that like when you talk about the relationships, like that's the first thing that comes up for me is just how close performers can be. I think part of it is like there's something really special about the art form, about standing in front of people and giving of yourself, right? Because that's what's happening when you're on stage. You're giving of yourself. Yeah, and then that's one of those things that I think I miss, which I've been trying to cultivate this year. So Linda, were you going to say something?
No.
Funny about? No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask a question, but
yeah, what is it? Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, to Minnie and Linda or whoever, like, if there was somebody who was doing drag, or maybe I would say maybe think about somebody who's doing drag, but they're kind of stuck in a rut with their drag, or they kind of feel like they've hit a wall. Do you have any, I don't know, suggestions or thoughts in kind of how you could, what that person could do to kind of like rejuvenate their love for drag or passion for drag?
You know what I'll say? Like I say to my sponsors and anybody else, first of all, check your motive. Why are you doing it? Are you doing it for the accolades? Are you doing it because you want people to? If you think about why you're doing it, I mean, because for me, I realized that the most fun I have and the best time I have is when I'm doing it for people that I love. I always say that. It's like when when I'm performing, hosting, and I look in the audience and I know that I care about people. I mean, that to me gets me going. The other thing is like trying different things, like taking a break or not taking a break, but trying different things. Like I really love I think one of my favorite performances of Linda's was her coming out in the cow outfit. She had this absolute beautiful face, and she danced and did her thing for like the whole time. And I was like, I saw the joy and everything, and I'm like, and the silliness and everything. And I'm like, I was so inspired. I was inspired not to do it, but to maybe come back and watch her do it again.
So Linda, you've accomplished quite a few things in such a short amount of time, and you have some stuff coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about the stuff that you have coming up?
Yeah, I mean, to sort of answer B0NNi Violet's question as well, I think that, and I'll tie it to your question.
Sure.
Is that for me, it's always been about like just doing it to be of service, right? By being of service, you're sort of realizing that you will find something that will maybe re-inspire or reignite that fire in you, because drag isn't easy. Okay, like it takes a lot to put it, to put everything on, hours, prep time. You probably don't eat that whole day, and
yeah, because you don't want to go once you get to the outfit.
Especially, and with that being said, I think that as Anthony mentioned, I think by being of service, I have sort of exposed myself to a bigger community, to a greater community. It's not just the Castro Country Club. It's other organizations that are doing the same kind of work, which is bringing people together, building relationships. And that's how I got sort of introduced to the Imperial Council of San Francisco and the Grand Ducal Council of San Francisco and so many other organizations. And over this last few years, I have found a passion to just to be of service and to represent my community. And so this year, I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and I am the candidate for Empress of all of San Francisco, which means that if I am to be elected Empress, then I will get to raise money for a whole year by organizing and putting together title contests where people can come and participate and raise money for organizations that we're raising money for. And why that's important for me right now is because I think that with everything that's going on in the world, we need younger leaders. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time, but what I do know is that showing up is enough sometimes.